Class 12th, subject physics, 8th chapter, electrostatics. From the chapter, let us see some of the important formulae. First one is Gauss law. So the mathematical statement for Gauss law is phi equal to q upon epsilon 0, that is electric flux phi is equal to electric charge q upon permittivity of the free space epsilon 0. In other words, it will be given as integration over closed path dot product of E and ds, that is vector E dot vector ds, where E represents electric field and ds is the surface area. Second formula gives the total charge on the surface of a sphere of radius r. So the total charge present on the surface of a sphere of radius r is given as charge q equal to sigma into 4 pi r square, where sigma is surface charge density, that is charge per unit area. So q will be equal to sigma into 4 pi r square. Third formula gives electric field intensity due to uniformly charged sphere at a distance r, at a distance equal to r. That means that point will be at a distance equal to r from the surface of that sphere, and so that electric field intensity at that point is given as E equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 q by r square. 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 q by r square, that will be written as sigma r square upon epsilon 0 r square, sigma r square upon epsilon 0 r square. Now let us see two different cases regarding this formula. On the surface of the sphere, the electric intensity E will be given as sigma upon epsilon 0, because r is equal to r. So as we are finding the electric field intensity on the surface of that sphere, therefore radius of the sphere will be equal to distance of that point from the surface of the sphere, that is r will be equal to r, and therefore E will be equal to sigma upon epsilon 0. Second case, that is B. If that any point lies inside the sphere, then inside the sphere electric field intensity E will be equal to 0, since no charges are present inside the sphere. As the charges are spread on the surface of the sphere, no charges will be inside the sphere, and therefore electric field intensity inside the sphere will be equal to 0. Fourth formula is the electric field intensity due to a charged plate. If you consider any charged plate, that is the charges are spread on the plate, then electric field intensity E will be equal to sigma upon 2 epsilon 0. Sigma upon 2 epsilon 0, that plate will be having two plane surfaces, and therefore electric field intensity E will be equal to sigma upon 2 epsilon 0. Then fifth formula gives electric field intensity due to infinitely long straight conductor. If the charges are present on a conductor which is infinitely long, then at that time electric field intensity E will be given as 1 upon 2 pi epsilon 0 RL. 1 upon 2 pi epsilon 0 RL, that will be written as lambda upon 2 pi epsilon 0 r, lambda upon 2 pi epsilon 0 r, since lambda is equal to q by L, that is charge per unit length, that is lambda. Then sixth formula gives for a single charge if you consider a single charge or isolated charge, then electric potential phi due to that single charge is given as 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 q upon r. So at a distance equal to r from that single charge, electric potential phi will be equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 q by r. Then seventh formula is for electric potential at any point, electric potential at any point due to electric dipole. So if a pair of electric charges is present there, that is electric dipole, then the electric potential at a distance r will be equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 p cos theta upon r square. 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 p cos theta upon r square, where p represents the electric dipole moment, that is the product of q and 2l, that is p will be equal to q into 2l, and therefore potential will be 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 p cos theta upon r square. Then let us consider some of the again cases here. First case, that is A, at axial point. If any point lies along the axis of that electric dipole, then phi axis will be equal to, along that axial point, electric potential phi axis will be equal to plus minus 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 q by r square. 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 q by r square with plus minus sign, since theta will be equal to 0 degree or 180 degree in this formula. This theta will be equal to either 0 for parallel, or for anti-parallel it will be 180 degree, and therefore phi axis is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 q by r square with plus or minus sign. Then case B will be at any equatorial point. If any point lies along the equator of that electric dipole, then phi equator will be equal to 0, since for that equatorial point theta will be equal to 90 degree from this formula. If theta is equal to 90 degree, then cos theta will be equal to 0, and therefore phi equatorial will be equal to 0. Then next, eighth formula gives the electrostatic potential energy for two charges. If there are two charges, then electrostatic potential energy U is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 q1 q2 upon r. If these q1 and q2 are the two charges, then electrostatic potential energy due to these two charges is U equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 q1 q2 upon r. Then ninth formula gives us the potential energy of a electric dipole in an external electric field. So if any electric dipole is placed in external electric field, then electrostatic potential energy will be U equal to PE into cos theta 0 minus cos theta. PE into cos theta 0 minus cos theta. Then 10th formula is for n capacitors which are connected in series. If n number of capacitors having their capacities C1, C2, C3 up to Cn are connected in series, then their equivalent capacitance is given as 1 upon C equivalent equal to 1 upon C1 plus 1 upon C2 plus 1 upon C3 plus 1 upon Cn. So if the n capacitors having capacities C1, C2, C3 are connected in series, then their equivalent capacitance 1 upon C equivalent equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus 1 by C3 plus 1 by Cn. Now in this combination, if for these n capacitors the capacity is equal, that is equal capacitances, if the capacitance of all these capacitors is the same, that is equal to C, that means C1 equal to C2 is equal to C3 is equal to C, then 1 upon C equivalent will be given as n upon C, because it will become 1 by C plus 1 by C plus 1 by C n times, and therefore it will be n by C, or from this C equivalent will be equal to C upon n, C equivalent equal to C by n. So from this relation it is clear that if the capacitors are connected in series, then their equivalent capacity will decrease. Then let us see the next formula, that is for n capacitors connected in parallel. If there are again n capacitors having capacities C1, C2, C3 up to Cn, and if they are connected in parallel, then their equivalent capacity Cp will be given as C1 plus C2 plus Cn, C1 plus C2 plus Cn. That is, if the capacitors are connected in parallel, then their equivalent capacitance will be equal to sum of all the individual capacitances. Now instead of that, if we consider n capacitors of equal capacitance, if these all capacitors, n capacitors, are having their capacity equal to C, then Cp will be equal to Nc, because it will be C plus C plus C, that is n times C, and therefore from this it is clear that if the capacitors are connected in parallel, then their equivalent capacity will increase. Then 12th formula is for the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor. If you consider a parallel plate capacitor, then for the parallel plate capacitor, the capacitance of that parallel plate capacitor without dielectrics, when it is not filled with the dielectrics, if it is without dielectrics, at that time C will be equal to A epsilon 0 upon D, A epsilon 0 upon D, where A will be the area of each plate of that parallel plate capacitor, and D is the distance of separation between its two plates. Then instead of that, if you consider the capacitance of this capacitor, that is parallel plate capacitor with dielectrics and which is partially filled, that is space between the two plates of that capacitor is not completely filled but it is partially filled, at that time C will be equal to A epsilon 0 upon D minus T plus T upon K, where D will be the distance of separation between the two plates and T will represent the thickness of that dielectrics. So D minus T plus T by K. This formula will give us the capacity of that parallel plate capacitor, that is C equal to A epsilon 0 upon D minus T plus T by K. Instead of that, if the entire space between the two plates of that capacitor is filled with dielectrics, that is D will be equal to T, D will be equal to T, at that time C will be equal to A epsilon 0 K upon D, A epsilon 0 K upon D, because in this case, as the space between the two plates is completely filled with dielectrics, that is D will be equal to T. If D equal to T, D minus T will get cancelled and A epsilon 0 upon T upon K we will get, that is D upon K, because T will be equal to D, and therefore C will be equal to A epsilon 0 K upon D. Then 13th formula gives us energy stored in a capacitor. If you consider any capacitor, that is parallel plate capacitor, then the energy stored in that capacitor, energy stored is given by all these three formulae, that is U equal to half Q square by C. half q square by c, where q will be the charge on each plate of that capacitor and c will be the capacitance of that capacitor. Therefore energy stored in that capacitor will be half q square by c, that will be equal to half c v square, half c v square, where v will be the potential difference between the two plates of that capacitor, and that will be again equal to half q v, half q v, because the capacity of any capacitor is given as C is equal to Q by V. C is equal to Q by V. Charge per unit potential is the capacity, and therefore energy stored in that capacitor is given as half Q square by C is equal to half CV square is equal to half QV. So these are some of the important formulae from the chapter electrostatics.